A juror from the Depp trial finally speaks out and confirms everything we thought. 3 things that helped Johnny Depp win the unwinnable. And this person said one thing that cost the entire trial. What up? 大家好，我是唢呐。Aquaman in love. A huge thanks to all of you who followed us through May. And in this month, we'll start a new series bringing you the latest in gossip entertainment from America, Europe, and abroad, helping you to know what's going down and also to help you practice your English, featuring new words in every episode. Now today, I'm going to explain exactly how Johnny Depp won an unwinnable case. It turns out there's a guy on TikTok who claims to be one of the 7 jurors in the Depp trial. Along with his jury certificate, he not only posted videos featuring commentary, but he also took to the comments to answer everyone's questions. And I've sorted through all the comments and replies just for you to give you some insight into exactly what the jury was thinking. So, how in the world did Johnny Depp win a suit that he should have lost? Well, there are actually 4 key points involving witnesses, body language, something she did to herself, but first and most importantly, the fact that she didn't smash that damn like button to help the algorithm. I'm just messing with you. So now, on to the first key point. There were several key witnesses that aided in Johnny Depp's victory. And before I read the juror's TikTok, I assumed Dr. Shannon Curry would have been the most important of all. But it turns out I was way off. According to the TikTok juror, Isaac Baruch, the homeless artist who is Johnny Depp's closest friend and who Johnny gave over $100,000 to and a place to stay, was the key witness that influenced the entire jury's decision.
It's not fair. It's not right what she did and what happened for so many people to get affected from this. It's insane.
And Mr. Baruch?
That's how this happened.
And the juror even had this to say about Isaac.
He was by far the best, straight to the point, no bullshit.
Who would have thought that Johnny Depp's kindness years ago would come back to save his reputation in the end? Now, let's have a look at the witnesses on the other side. It would seem that Dr. Strange, although weird, was very logical and convincing.
So in my opinion, based on my review of the evidence, based on my clinical experience, based on my publishing experience, based on my teaching experience, that Mr. Depp has behaviors that are consistent with both someone who has a substance use disorder as well as consistent behaviors for someone who is a perpetrator of intimate partner violence.
Even you guys in the comments said that his logical and professional testimony was quite persuasive, but based on the TikTok juror,
he did not help the case at all, LOL.
But there was also another who was considered to be a key witness for Whitney Enriquez, sister.
At first, she was loud, fun, funny. She laughed a lot. She was just this happy, bright, fun-loving thing, always surrounded by friends. And then cut to the end of their relationship, she was so physically unwell. She maybe weighed 100 pounds soaking wet. She was emaciated. She wasn't sleeping. She had developed a heart condition.
Now initially, she seemed pretty solid, but one benefit of the jury system is that they can analyze her testimony as ordinary people, just like you and I. And according to the TikTok juror,
she seemed to be supporting her sister out of obligation and manipulation to me. Didn't seem like she wanted to be there. Would be a tough situation.
So that brings me to an interesting question. Which system is more effective? The common sense, emotionally driven jury system or the calculated, logically based judge system? Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Now, one thing that stuck out to me about the TikTok juror is when he commented about what people were saying online compared to what he actually saw.
From the very beginning, when was testifying, everything just seemed so off with how she kept making eye contact with me, and it made me extremely uncomfortable to where I would no longer look over at her when she was giving her answers. I would just listen intently, and everything she was saying came off like bullshit. And I wasn't following anything on TikTok during the whole trial, and I was scrolling through after the trial, and blows my mind on how every single person seemed to be commenting on how weird it was.
Also, do you remember what acting coach testified about her performance?
I would say the last year they were together, probably 80-90% of our sessions began with her crying. Ironically, she has a little difficulty crying, acting-wise, so which a lot of us do. And so, yeah, we would have to work when we were doing it acting-wise, but it was a lot.
Well, it turns out the jury notices as well. Did the jury notice she never shed a real tear?
Yes.
And actually, there were a lot of weird physical movements that gave Amber away. Like when she was being dishonest and she would look up and to the right, and even when she would try to recall traumatic incidents, you could watch her head movement and how she would address everyone, including the jury. This is very different from Johnny Depp's testimony, who was more in a protective huddle as if he's actually reliving what happened to him.
We were all somewhat shell-shocked, you know, even if she just walked past us, you'd sort of shield yourself because you didn't know what was going to happen. Excuse me. And quite a lot of name-calling and bullying, you know, making fun of whatever defect, you know.
It wasn't just us who noticed these differences. The jury did as well. But the ultimate thing that secured Amber's defeat was not a witness nor a single piece of evidence. It was Heard herself.
My dog stepped on a bee. We went to the vet.
My dog stepped on a bee. This was memed 100 times over and spread like wildfire.
My dog stepped on a bee.
I bet you thought it was just a hilarious clip to be repeated and forgotten, right? But the jury actually took what she said very seriously.
She seemed to be pulling stories out of the air at that point.
This was a very crucial point because her bee story was the first time the jury started to doubt that what Amber was saying was true. And this next part made it even worse when she did this.
I use pledge and donation synonymous with one another.
But I don't, Ms. Heard.
Because even for the TikTok juror, that was a turning point.
100% could not admit she was wrong in anything. That is what sealed it for me. Camille did a great job.
But logically, as long as Amber consistent with her story of denying writing the op-ed because of Johnny Depp, she still had this case in the bag. And I bet you're wondering what the heck that means. The term "in the bag" means a for sure win. It goes all the way back to when people used to hunt for sport and they would place their game inside of a bag, like a trophy. So for example, if your friend is about to go play a match against an opposing team, you could say, "Don't worry, I'm sure you got this in the bag." All right, class dismissed. So the conditions the judge gave before deliberation were very explicit. The jury must determine, using the evidence, that wrote the article with intended malice, because without that, she could pull whatever story she wanted out of her ass, but without malicious intent towards Johnny Depp, it would mean nothing and would win. And this is what the lawyer said at the beginning of the trial.
He will tell you that Mr. Depp will have to prove that the words used were about him and that they were false. And if he can't do that, and if he can't meet the other elements of the claim, then he loses that claim.
As long as Amber admits to nothing, Johnny Depp would lose. Which leads us to the critical moment, the turning point in this trial. Just like the final battle between the bride and the crazy 88 in Kill Bill. During her final showdown with Camille Vasquez, was holding firm until Johnny Depp's lawyer goaded her into showing her hand.
When you told this jury under oath that you had no idea that the paparazzi would be at the courthouse on May 27, 2016, you didn't expect a TMZ employee to show up to testify that TMZ had been alerted that you would be at the courthouse and knew exactly which side of your face to take a picture of, did you?
I know how many people will come out and say whatever for him. That's his power. That's why I wrote the op-ed. I was speaking to that phenomenon. How many people will come out in support of him and will fall to his power? He is a very powerful man, and people love currying favor with powerful men.
And as we mentioned before, everyone was so focused on the fact that she admitted to writing the op-ed, but the jury was focused on something more detailed.
That's his power. That's why I wrote the op-ed. I was speaking to that phenomenon.
It wasn't that she wrote the article, it was why she wrote it, because of Johnny. And that statement was the smoking gun for the jury. Even though the jury suspected Amber was being dishonest throughout her testimony, that moment with Camille gave them exactly what they needed to turn in their verdict: malicious intent. When she uttered those words, the game was over. Johnny Depp had won. And the catalyst in all this is our powerful heroine lawyer, Camille Vasquez. Her fierce and emotional demeanor was all a ploy to back her into a corner and give her the illusion of having the upper hand, causing her to reveal her true nature.
I've never heard Johnny claim that.
You didn't expect
Johnny
Keenan
doesn't-
Wyatt.
Johnny has never said that. And,
I think the
and
jury
he-
can,
yes.
Ms. Hurd, there's no question pending. You didn't expect Keenan Wyatt, Mr. Depp's longtime sound technician, to show up and testify that Mr. Depp is not being fed lines through his earpieces, but instead music, did you?
Not that it matters much, but of course I did.
Until ultimately, she slipped up.
That's his power. That's why I wrote the op-ed, is I was speaking to that phenomenon.
Man, what a great lawyer. Even the jury agreed. Which lawyers did you think did the best and convinced you the most?
Camille by far. Camille was definitely the most engaging and trusting lawyer.
Now, after her loss in the trial, put forth a statement.
I'm even more disappointed with what this verdict means for other women. It is a setback. It sets back the clock to a time when a woman who spoke up and spoke out could be publicly shamed and humiliated. It sets back the idea that violence against women is to be taken seriously.
A word, Aqua Turd? Because for me, this entire trial was a global display of women kicking ass in the name of women's rights. When you watch what happened in that courtroom, pretty much all of the men were fucking useless. The only useful guy was choked up in tears, while the other one, claiming to be an expert witness, was out of his mind, and the most important guy of all is mumbling in slow motion. Oh yeah, and then you have the lead attorney, whose surname is Chew, chewing on fucking gummy bears. Is a woman. The judge is a woman. Elaine Bredoff is a woman. Dr. Shannon Curry is a woman. And most importantly, Camille Vasquez, the heroine of this story, is a woman. This trial is the cornerstone of a real women's rights movement. The event, watched around the globe, was all because of Heard's actions. So, what can we learn from all this? If you dare to tell a public lie, then you deserve a goddamn public trial.
Now I know!
And knowing is half the battle.
G.I. Joe! Now, it is possible that the TikTok juror was never even there. Maybe he made it all up. But you have to admit, a lot of what he's saying does make sense. And actually, it's just downright common sense. Now, it could be argued that the women's rights movement has suffered a major setback. Ill-willed women hijacking and sullying the Me Too and feminist movement, turning it into something that society finds insufferable. But Heard is not the first. In fact, she's only a minor player in the destruction of the women's movement. And in our next episode, I'll expose an entire network of notorious female figures that inspired Heard's master plan. And trust me, there's tons of blood. From mostly men, of course. So until then, remember to like, subscribe, and I'll see you on the flip side. Peace!